What time is it? It's summertime! You guys have been asking for this non-stop. Today I bring to you 15 summer fragrance recommendations. And this is pretty heavy, so let's just get on with the video. Also grab a snack because this might be a long one. So my thought process with wearing fragrances, turn towards the more airy, more transparent route. Something that's a little more light on the nose, so you don't feel heavy or sticky or icky. I still recommend to reapply because that's just the nature and the science of light fragrances. But without further ado, let's start with Filipino fragrance options. Number 1, I have Mango Sticky Rice Gourmand from Letters of Love. This one is the densest option out of the 5 I'm recommending for this category because this one is a summer gourmand. So think golden mangoes, think sticky rice or kakanin, a little bit of vanilla, and a lot of yummy good vibes. And it's also in an EDT concentration, so you know that when you spray it on your skin, you don't really feel a lot of that oils. So even if it is a denser fragrance, there's still a lightness to it. Next up is my favorite from this category, so I'm a little biased, but this one is the Desert Lounge from Home Studio Scents. If you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know how much I love this fragrance because this fragrance features notes like melon, honey, a little bit of oatmeal, and a lot of musks. There's something just so summery and fresh and juicy about this fragrance that is such a mood booster and such an energizing pick in my book. The next recommendation is one for those who really love their Spanish colognes, who really love their splash colognes. This one is 1997 from Pampanga-based fragrance house bangloo, which I believe is Kapampangan for something that smells good. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But this one features notes of bergamot, neroli, and amber. So it really is this fresh, zingy, and really not sticky scent. It's a fragrance that like feels far off versus something that sticks very close to the skin. And it's also very cold to the nose, so there's just something about this that like screams the hottest days of summer to me. Next up is a kind of new discovery to me. This is a relatively newer Filipino fragrance house called Al and Marie, and I like to call this the house of fresh out of the shower scents. They only have 2 fragrances out right now and I have 2 of them on my hands. If you guys are interested, just watch out on a separate video where I do a more in-depth review on these 2 fragrances. If you want something that's very transparent and clear and fresh and sort of watery in its approach, you are really going to like Apolonio. And if you want something that's a little denser, something that in comparison to water feels more like gel or a serum, you can go for Amurao because this one features soft florals and this one leans more towards the fresh powdery route than the super duper clean freshly washed vibes that is Apolonio. But both of them I think are really good picks for summer if you ask me. The next 5 fragrances I'm about to feature are under the category fragrances that just feel like summer to me. May it be summer themed or there's just something about it that's just summer to me in terms of vibes. I put in this category. First one, I have Avon Faraway Shine, which is a flanker of the ever classic, ever beloved Avon Faraway perfume. And this one is definitely their most summery, most tropical version so far. And it's interesting because the original Faraway perfume leans more towards the sweet route, and while this one still is a little bit sweet, it's definitely a lot fresher also. It's more fun, it's more energetic, more playful, which is why I put it in this category. But there's also something interesting about the development and the wear of this fragrance. Like when you first spray it, it's definitely light and airy, it dances with the wind, it moves with you. But the longer that it stays on the skin and the more that it blooms on the skin, it sort of feels like the same sensation you get when you're out under the sun and your skin kind of just warms up because the sun is shining down on you. Not to say that this is hot on the skin. Next up, I have Summer Limited Edition. This is Clinique Happy in Paradise, obviously from Clinique, a flanker of their Clinique Happy perfume. And this one's just so summery because it features passion fruit. And I don't know, I just think a lot of summer drinks include passion fruit because of how fun, how bright, how zingy it is. And I don't know, it's a citrus that just makes you feel happy when you smell it. I don't really know how to explain it much more than that other than you should get your nose on it to really experience it yourself. But what's interesting about this is it has a little bit of cacao at the base, but you don't really get it until you wait for the fragrance to really develop fully. Not to say that it's a very rich fragrance, but it's just something that kind of grounds it because passion fruit is an otherwise very fluttery type of scent. Now, because we're in the realm of citruses, I have to talk about one of my favorite citrus fragrances. This one is Mandarin Basilic Harvest from Aqua Allegoria. This is the harvest version of Mandarin Basilic. If you guys are interested, you can read up on the harvest line to really know more about the process in making their perfumes, but the Mandarin featured in this is a little more sweet and a lot more juicy in comparison to the original one, at least to my nose, because while the original one is a citrus burst and it is very fresh, I just find that the subtle sweetness of the mandarin in this harvest version gives it a lot more character as a citrus fragrance. And that's because citrus is not my favorite. The next one I have is what a lot of people really love from this fragrance house, Penhaligons Luna. Because this one opens with a bright citrus that's very light and airy, and then transitions to florals like roses and jasmine that give it this really elegant touch to the citrus, which is why I really like this one. And I don't know, there's just something about this fragrance that like, it smells as pretty as the bottle looks while feeling super summery. And I know this isn't really a summer themed fragrance, but there's just something that really screams summer to me in this particular scent. I'm a little late to this, and I totally get why this is a bestseller now. now. Another fragrance that isn't particularly summer themed, I have Hermes Un Jardin sur le Toit, and the apple and the kind of like green notes in this make it such an interesting freshy pick for me because it's not fresh in the summer route. It's not fresh in the sea breeze route. It's fresh in the you kind of smell the morning dew on the grass type of way. Just the idea of that screams summer to me, at least in terms of like the Filipino culture and how they choose fragrances, because I still find a lot of the Filipinos lean towards the citrus fresh route. And there's also something about the transparency of this fragrance that feels very apt for summer. And the last five in this last category is something I like to call what I'm wearing this summer. First in this category is something I've been featuring again and again and again. If you guys have been following me, you know how much I love this one. This is 000 from the Monde Gourmand. As you can see, I'm like less than halfway through this bottle, and that really makes me sad because I know I really have to repurchase this. But there's something so clean about this without it really leaning too citrus. Like, it's clean, it's musky, there's like a very subtle sweetness to it, so I feel like I'm not compromising the real me that's looking for something with a little bit more density in my freshie. And this one just reminds me of like the cleanest, whitest clothes that you can wear. So this is such a no-brainer pick for me this summer. I am not me without my teas, so the second one I'm recommending is Dear Polly from Vilhelm Parfumerie. This is a really interesting one because this one features tea not in the traditional citrus tea way. Although it does have a little bit of citrus at the start, I find the citrus in this to be one of the less citrusy citrus tea combinations out there in the market right now in terms of Western fragrances. That being said though, the tea in this isn't the strongest either, which is why I gravitate towards this, especially during the summer, because while the nature of tea is to be somewhat sheer, somewhat soft, and somewhat subtle in its approach, my other tea fragrances are definitely more tea forward, which not a lot of people might really be into. So this one is the safest tea pick in my collection. And I don't know, the fact that it kind of smells like Lipton iced tea makes me happy. Another citrus that I really like because it's formulated with a lot of stuff that give it a lot more density and don't make it too transparent, which is my personal preference, is Jus de Hermes from Hermes. There's just something so beautiful about this fragrance that while it's not as transparent as the other Hermes fragrance I showed in this compilation, there's just something so beautiful about this, so light about this in terms of my preference, that just screams summer. And it's just so easy to wear across ages that I can't not recommend this one. The fourth one in this category is my personal favorite Zara fragrance. This one is Vetiver Pamplemousse, which is arguably simple in terms of composition because this one just features grapefruit, mandarine, and vetiver. But there's just something so zingy and energizing about this that every time I wear it for summer, it just makes me feel happy and light about myself. And I kind of like that the vetiver at the base gives this a little bit more edge to an otherwise hee-hee-ha-ha citrus combination. The last fragrance I'm recommending I put at the last because it might be a little bit hard to find this now considering that this is discontinued. This is Burberry Brit, not Burberry Brit Sheer, the original Burberry Brit. It looks like this. Like, this is what the bottle looks like, not like the sheer pink one with this pattern. And this is the first fragrance that I fell in love with. Like, this started the rabbit hole of fragrances for Hello Gesso. Because this is a sweet fragrance but done very fresh and very light, not in the sweet gourmand, syrupy, sticky type of way. And considering that this was made in 2003 and I still like it like 2 decades later, it's pretty crazy if you ask me. But in case anyone's curious, this one features notes like candied almonds, lime, a little bit of sugar, peony, vanilla, tonka bean. So it's really like a fruity floral at its heart, but done in a more fresh route without really sacrificing the sweet girlness. And that's it for 15 summer fragrance recommendations. Let me know if you found this recommendation helpful or share some of your favorite summer picks in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Bigat!